Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. According to Apple, it's 3:01. Call this March 1st special meeting to order. And as my usual public service reminder, these meetings are always open to the public. They're meetings of the Board of Selectmen to conduct the ongoing business of the board. If you'd like to offer comment, there's an opportunity on the agenda to do so. When commenting, please state your name and title if applicable. If the meeting is interrupted due to disconnection, we'll do our best to resume not less than 30 minutes from the time of interruption. Next on the agenda is public comment. And I'll scan the room for, if you can just put your hand up electronically. I don't see anybody with their hand up. Another second or so. Still don't see anybody, so we will keep moving along. So I'd like to cover some of the outstanding lines from the last few weeks and then start to move through and get some consensus so we can start to check sections off the budget to head towards a vote in the next couple of weeks. So there was one of the leftover items was from the litigation line, which is 217. There was an ask from the board for history on the amount spent at the last reval that went into litigation. And Barbara posted that information. And it appears that the costs happen in the year following the reval. So I believe that we can leave this line alone, but certainly would like to hear your thoughts and get to the point where we can agree on this section.
So the 35,000 is what we're talking about.
So litigation is flat.
We
left it at 30. It was at 35,000, but Rufus, I think you had asked a few weeks ago about what happens. Should we put more in for the reval? So Barbara posted that, and from looking at it, I think that it can stay flat.
I mean, so, some of it may show up in the following year. It's going to.
Can't hear you, Rufus.
It's going to depend.
Can't hear you. Your computer might be muted.
Oh.
I can hear you.
I
can hear Rufus. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
It's true that some of it might come up in the following year. It really depends on who might be questioning the assessment and how soon they get going.
So what would do you want to propose an increase? What would you like to propose?
Well, it's a kind of a shot in the dark here,
When you look at that report that Barbara provided, it does seem that it's happening in the following year.
Right. Well, let's leave it flat then.
Thoughts, Glenn?
I agree. Let's leave it flat.
Okay. All right. Next, going to line 257, there was an ask from the board for salary and overtime to be broken out. And Barbara had created a document with I think it was a 5-year look back to 18. I think the overtime is going to be over the 7,500, because I think the 2 quarters that we have were like almost 7,000. So I imagine we'll incur more overtime. We have the Memorial Day parade. We have a number of other things. But that leads to the bigger discussion of how we want to address the request from Andy Osif. And in the meeting folder, there's a bunch of number of documents that I included. And if you want me to screen share anything, I'm happy to do that. You want to start with the overtime look back?
Yes.
Hi, hold on one second. FedEx guy is here. Sorry about that. So everybody can see that okay?
Yes.
So this was, you can see what this was. There were mostly the recreation from that first year of COVID. But the sort of recurring things we have are the drug take back days, coverage for elections, parade of lights, and then the speed enforcement that we're trying to do more of.
Why is that in overtime?
What?
Why is that overtime? Why isn't it done during the normal shifts?
Because there was additional speed enforcement that we requested. Looks like in that summertime in 2021, the late.
How many drugs are actually turned in on a drug take back?
I don't know. It's a national program. There's a drug take back day and the various troops participate. We also participate through the Northwest Corner Prevention Network.
What was that?
So our participation is also through the Northwest Corner Prevention Network. So there's these costs, and then there's the, that other model that I had worked on, which is here. So the detail is below. It would increase our speed enforcement, which would be specific. That would be what this overtime would be used for that number of hours. It wouldn't actually be 2 hours a week, but it would, because we have to comply with the union guidance, or the contract. And then summer recreation patrols. Again, if if Andrew is on a, if his schedule rotates to where his Monday is actually a Monday and his 5th day is Friday, and that happens in, you know, on 4th of July weekend or Labor Day weekend, then we would be sharing that patrol 1 trooper. So this would give us from that 7/1 to 9/30, it would give us guaranteed weekend coverage. Now, this is all based on this. We make a request through our resident state trooper, and if someone picks up the shift, then they pick up the shift. If there's nobody available to pick up the shift, then there's nothing that we can do. This is just for us to plan for, you know, based on the Noise and Traffic Committee's report, based on feedback from the public, trying to bring in some extra speed enforcement, you know, summer recreation, et cetera.
So Gina, on the previous document, it said 2022. So the overtime you said total was 12,000, just north of that. Is that right?
Yeah.
So that was in 2000. Was that fiscal 22-23 or 21-22?
That was fiscal year 22. So that would be 21-22.
21-22. So in that year, it says police protection 195,430. In the previous budgets. So that was, so the overtime was 12,000 more than that. So north of,
Wait, say that again? You lost me.
So in fiscal year 21-22, I'm looking at the budget. In that year, 195,430 was allocated for police protection, line 257.
That was the actual.
That was the actual. So does that include the 12,000, or does that not include the 12,000 that you showed on that first slide?
That would have.
Would have.
Yeah, it would have.
Okay, so
it all gets put in one line.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing in fiscal year 23-24, that 246,021, does that include some of your numbers here, or is that are we asking to go to what, to 252? Is that what I'm looking at?
Well, let's go look in that folder. So that's taking from the letter that we get from DESP with the projection, which is salary of 161,575, fringe of 74,944, and then office phone, cell phone, supplies, and overtime.
And overtime.
Yep. And that would be $7,500 worth of overtime, I believe. Yep.
So the question before us right now, do we want to go with the 246 or the 252? Is that what you just showed on that second slide?
Yeah, so that was with the Joyce, the base salary that you have in that letter,
Mhm.
the salary and fringe.
Correct.
Is that with the new contract?
That's right off of their document, yes. It's included in the document. Just scroll up and it's on that page right there.
Okay. Sorry, it's really hard to read. Because I'm looking at the that letter, the table on the second page, and it says it gives the salary as 115 and change. It's hard to read because it's like a copy of a copy. And then the fringe as 59,151. It's a little frustrating the way that they display it. This is really frustrating. And I'm also, the paper is also sideways.
But the cover letter states that it includes a 2.5 salary increase. If you scroll to the first document in that.
Right, so I'm not sure that the 161,575 that's on that sheet that you wrote in. I'm just wondering where that came from.
The third document in there, if you scroll all the way to the end, that's what it says for total projected amount under the salary portion.
Right, but that includes, I'm just printing it out because it's going to be easier for me to see that.
That's not in this meeting.
It's in the budget folder. Give me 1 second.
Rufus, it's in the shared folder that Barbara shared with you.
I'm looking for that. Hold
So
on.
If you go on the town website, you can access it.
The second table is actually the one that we're looking at. So that second table for salary, that's 115, 144. Right? God, it's very frustrating because they don't break out fringe here. They only break it out as total overtime. But regardless, the note that you wrote in, the 161,575, it looks like that should actually be 115, 144. You can't make it simple. I think I have both of them in one place that we could easily take a look at. Hold on 1 second. Apologies. Know that it's here somewhere. The one thing that I didn't have pulled up. Right there it is. So when we look at this, this is both of those tables on one page. So we can actually look at them with some understanding.
Make that a little bigger.
Yeah, the hang on one second. The toolbar hides it. Give me just one second. Alrighty. So this top table is the actual projection for 23-24. But they also give you the fiscal year 22-23 projection down below, but it's broken out differently. It's broken out with salary, which is the 115-144, which when you look at the table above is the same. They don't include fringe. They include all of the overhead, which is all of this stuff down here. And if you take the fringe from here and add that to the 115-144.
That's fringe is part of the 74. You add up all those other numbers, you don't even come close.
What do you mean it's part of, right? Of course, yes, it's part of the 74, but they don't tell you what the fringe is here. But what we did was we took, I believe, on the document that had the handwritten notes on it, was because it says that the salary is 161,575, and then it added in the fringe to bring it up to 236,520. But I don't think that's correct. I think you have to add the 115-144 and then the fringe. I think we added too much. I think the correct total is the 161,575, but we added in another set of fringe to make it 230, whatever it is on there, 246,021.
The fringe is included in the 161.
I agree.
And
Correct.
therefore, any other overtime is, I don't think we should be even looking at 252 or 240 or anything. Barbara said last week that we're trending toward maybe 230, maybe. It's a trend.
My point is that what was written in for the proposed number is in fact too high, that it added in fringe twice. Because when you look at the document that's in the folder, that's in the budget folder,
So we think 246 is too high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we think we should come down to?
Well, the
Make it realistic.
projection is without any overtime is 161,575.
So without any overtime, one trooper is 161,575.
I believe that that's correct.
So last year we budgeted for $200,800.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to try to get to the bottom of this because, and I'm trying to get you hang on one second.
Did we, or are we going to use all that? Or what I'm hearing is that we might not?
I would go with the projection that Barbara puts in there.
246.
No, the projection for this fiscal year.
Projection for this fiscal year. Okay, so what do we want to put in this year?
Well, that's sort of what's up for discussion.
What do you think is the most realistic number?
Well, this all goes back to the request from Andy Osif, right? We need to decide on that. And then what do we put in for overtime?
So what's the number if we don't go with Andy Osif's proposal, and what's the number if we do?
Well,
I think Andy's proposal is unrealistic this year. With all the other things that are increasing. I mean, to have a second trooper, I said this last meeting, I don't think the town is ready to support 2 troopers. So now you're looking at asking for some extra overtime. So you look at the 161 plus whatever you might be asking for in overtime. That number, Gene, you just showed us, you took it down. It was like 60,000.
yeah.
3.
Yep, just over 60,000. But I do want to just, now that I was able to get it to where I needed it to be, these are the notes that were written in for the resident state trooper. So this, I think that this.
That's wrong.
That is exactly what I've been trying to say. That based on this, which I can't flip it, that it included this salary had already included
the fringe.
Either the fringe or all of the overhead. So do we want to it sounds like the board is not, doesn't have an appetite for a second state trooper. I would like them to consider some sort of motion on that so we can have an official decision on that request.
I propose a motion that for the fiscal year 2023 to 2024, the town of Kent hires 1 state trooper for police protection.
We're already in a contract with 1 state trooper, so it's got to address Andy Osif's request. Something like we either consider we add his request to the budget or we decline to add his request to the budget. Something like along those lines.
I make a motion that we decline Mr. Andrew Osif's request for a 2nd trooper in fiscal 23-24.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? It'd be Glenn and Rufus. All those opposed? I am opposing, and the motion carries. Okay, so now that that's resolved, overtime.
You put up that chart again that you had for the overtime, please.
It's in the folder as well. So it'd be an average year-round addition of speed enforcement of 104 hours. Summer recreation between July 1st and September 30th, it would be 5 hours each weekend day. Holiday patrols would be 2 days Memorial Day weekend, 1 day 4th of July weekend, 2 days Labor Day weekend, Halloween, winter, holiday celebrations for a total of 10 days or 50 hours. And then election coverage is based on last year. We can trim it. We can trim it back to 400 hours. That brings it down to 53,200.
I'd rather see that. And because that will increase our line to $215,000 approximately.
So do we want to have it change it to 400, a total of 400 hours for this planned overtime?
Yeah, I think that addresses, those in town who want a little extra coverage, but I just don't think that, we can go with a 2nd troopers. And so it is still going to be an increase from what we've been paying in the past, but it will give us better protection.
Okay, so we're agreed that we'll have Barbara update it at the 400 hours of overtime.
I think so.
I agree.
Okay. Rick, did I see Rick on the call? Great. Transfer station, let's move to line 356. And he submitted some narrative because this was a request over the 4%.
That, I thought we went over that when we did the manager's position.
I didn't think we had. So this was to increase them for their hourly from $18 for the attendance, from $18.92 to $21, which I think is very reasonable, having worked a number of hours in the February weather a couple of years ago. And there's going to be more coming in this next fiscal year with, if the organic materials pilot comes through, which it should, with the issues with recycling, just like Rick spelled out in the email. And then it will also correct their the number of total hours to 852.
I was good with that as it was projected.
And then just correcting, increasing that hourly rate of pay for the manager to $23.50, up from $22.17, and correcting the hours to be a total of 996. Because Rick does do meetings, and anytime a container is getting pulled, or if there's an issue, he is the one to go over there and handle that stuff. So we're in consensus agreement with that. Checking off another department, hopefully. Any other questions? Oh, I had one question. Rick, do you know, have you heard, I have not, if we go ahead with the composting pilot, I know that there's been some new language for, with a permit for composting, and is that only if we were doing it on site, like a Ridgefield or wherever? I think it's Newtown that's also doing it. Like, would that involve another permit if we're having it hauled away?
I haven't heard anything from Jennifer. I mean, we'd have to amend our permit with our transfer station permit with the state.
Right.
To have more containers there. As far as a permit for anything else, I don't know about yet.
Okay. It would probably be smart to just check in with Jen to see if there is anything that we have to, I mean, I know it's going to be a change in our permit, but if there's any additional fee. That was my only question for here.
Okay. As far as I know, the pilot program was not going to be a fee program, but
right.
We'll find out.
Is this for towns to compost on?
This is, yeah, for the
on town property.
So Jen Heaton-Jones, the executive director of HRA, has submitted, excuse me, a grant application, I think, to the EPA for to create pilot programs for organics composting, where for our town, it would be hauled away. We wouldn't be doing on-site. There are a couple of towns in the HRA authority that do on-site composting where they have a pile and they manage the pile, but those are much bigger towns. We would be using a vendor that would be arranged through HRRA. That would consist of people opting into collect organics would get a kit. We would do some training and education. And they would get a countertop container, a toter that they would bring, which would sort of be their ticket. And they would be able to put it in a larger toter or some other container. And then that container would get hauled to the vendor. Does that help?
I think at this point that program would be just like household scraps and stuff like that, not necessarily yard waste.
Right.
Right now they just supply you the one up in Salisbury. They just supply the plastic tote containers. They come and pick those up. So if somebody started bringing a truckload of leaves in, that's not going to fit in those.
Right. I think that was part of why Ridgefield went the way that they did, but they're a much larger town. So we will, she's pretty confident that the application will come through, get awarded. So any other questions for Rick on transfer station? We ready to check that line off? I just need a nod or a yes. Anything. Okay. Since Rick is here, he was okay with us diving into DPW, which is going to start on 261, I think. Yeah. Rick, do you want to give us the sort of high level summary?
Except for any salary changes, well, starting with the town garage, I just increases there are just electric and heating oil. Went up $300 on maintenance. That's the only other increase. So I don't think we need to explain too much about electric or heating oil. I think everybody know they're going up.
Moving on to the bigger piece, the highway department.
Besides salaries.
So the health decrease.
Line.
Sorry.
The public works lines, engineering firms. Went up a little bit on that, $1,500.
And that's for, just to give everyone a for instance.
Preliminary plans for projects. If we don't have them in the capital yet, or something comes up, an issue that we need them to look at, then it's outside, subcontractor for like Cardinal Engineering we use now. Before that, the other increase was for diesel fuel and gasoline. Other than that, no changes.
And the dip in health.
Third employee went on the opt-out. So.
Oh, that. Okay. So that sort of equalizes out to, well, not equalizes out, but it's addressed in 276, line 276.
Right. So when they opt out, it reduces our cost to half of whatever the plan will have cost.
It's actually a little bit of a savings that way.
Actually less than that. Well, it's probably more than half because by contract they're limited to 15,000 now. So I think a family plan's probably more than 30,000 now.
Anything, Rufus or Glenn?
No?
Nope, nothing here.
So we're ready to put a check mark?
Yes.
If you want, while we're on the same page, Town Aid Road, that's depends on what the state comes up with for a number. We don't know that until after they vote on it. The town lighting and water we kept the same. The lighting, we went up 3,000 for, that's all the street lights. And
Yeah, that Eversource bill was a little bit of a shocker for the street lamps. And then tree work, you see some more tree work this year?
A little bit. I mean, that's not even the day's worth, the difference in the two there.
Yep.
There's plenty of trees dying, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, any other questions for Rick?
Nope.
Alrighty. So we're in consensus agreement on those three sections. Town
Yes.
garage, highway department, public works.
Yes.
Is that a nod, Rick, Rufus?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. So moving on, we'll move on to tax collector. I see Debbie's on the call. Which is line 105. So everybody had a chance to read the letter that's in the file?
Yes.
Yep.
Debbie, can you hear us?
Hi, are you, this is Debbie. Are you after me? I have a paying customer, so I'm offline.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought we talked to Debbie last time.
Well, I'm trying to be a little more methodical. We were a little all over the place at the last meeting. I'm just trying to check off the department so that we can like make some true forward motion. Jen Dubray, I see you on the line.
Yep.
Do you want to just give us the executive summary on your department?
As far as other than salary, because I didn't do anything there.
Yeah, there's just a couple of the postage. Is it because the cost of postage has gone up?
Yep.
Okay.
And so the postage for, well, my personal property camera system and the postage went up for the data processing company when they send out my mailings. Excuse me. But if I were to get that personal property camera system, it's included in that cost. I'm still hesitant because we still don't seem to have very good connectivity here with our programs. And I haven't seen a change over the last year. So I Still don't know whether I would go with that. And then the help with map surveys and searches, that's because things are getting more difficult out there. There's becoming more map changes, things Ty and I are discovering. I might have to hire a surveyor outside from what we can do, and also title searchers for problems. So I put a little bit extra in the mapping line for that.
And so those are like independent contractors. It wouldn't be, I know HVA helps us out a lot with the GIS.
Yep, that's just for the mapping. That's basically what we give them. And then they put it on our assessor maps.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking extra splits, extra work on things that research that needs to be done that we've never done. There's some work with Kent School, Fuller Mountain area, different boundary line things that we have going that they're beyond our expertise.
Okay. Rufus, Glenn, anything?
No, I'm good with.
Nope, I got nothing.
Jen, you had put in suggest, or this is might be Barbara's comment, suggest postage meter to be shared. Is it possible to share the postage meter that's already in land use, and so we don't have to purchase another device? Or does that $900 in postage happen at the software?
Well, that $900 is what I'm estimating my postage is going to cost. If I have to go buy the stamped envelopes or have Barbara buy me stamps. I just thought as a town hall, you get a better deal with a postage meter. That's the way I do it in the other towns I work in.
Right, and land use has one. So I guess I'm wondering, I imagine that multiple departments would be able to use the postage meter.
No, it's leased by the land use office. Unless there's some way on that machine, and I haven't been able to find it, where you could actually code in a different account, everything will get hit by, will be paid by the land use postage line then. I know when I was doing Washington, there was a machine where you could actually insert an account number, and then at the end, you get a regular accounting, so you could charge each department. I don't believe our machine has that capability because it's the lower usage machine.
In North Canaan, where I work, they just have one postage budget line that everybody turns in how much they project they're going to have, and it goes into the postage line in the town hall.
Right.
Seems to me that it's, you know, the town hall should have one postage machine.
Yes.
It's not, we're not big enough to have
multiple
machines for everybody. So
yeah, I agree.
It was a proposal that was never approved. That was the first thing that I proposed before I decided to rent the one that we have in the land use office.
Well, maybe it's,
you know, Donna, from your research into renting it, how much what the rental is? I mean, I guess it's better to rent than to purchase. Or not.
Yeah, it's paid quarterly, and I don't know the exact dollar at this point in time, but I know we do save 5 cents an envelope by using a meter. So it was kind of a wash.
Yeah.
I think maybe we can look into that again, because it does seem silly to have multiple.
I mean, I think in the big picture of things, the postage lines are pretty normal. But I think that town hall should
have one. Yep.
A communal meter.
Any questions? For Jen?
No.
Nope. We ready to check this line?
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. I don't know if, Debbie, are you back with us?
I think she's wrapping up.
Okay. Rufus, do you want to just quick do Board of Assessment appeals?
Basically, it's bare, you know, I don't, you know, I've always wanted to just try to keep something in there. We haven't necessarily billed the town completely for all our hours, but even though Jen suggested we hire a clerk, we haven't had enough in the last few years. We're not planning on that. And it should cover everything.
Rufus, are the is the salary, is that like enabled in statute or?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the 1,500 based on?
That was just to keep something in there. This last year we had very little, but we also didn't have very good attendance.
By the board?
By the board. And, you know, but it's just there. If you want to cut it a little bit, go ahead. But this year we'll have probably used up mileage and some of the conference fees. Both Gary and I went for a refresher. So, you know, we don't even need to increase it. Just keep it at 1,500 and 400.
Okay.
We never know. You know, we have in recent years, we have not had the appeals that we've had in the past.
And your activity would likely tick up as a result of a reval, right? That following a reval year?
It could.
Okay.
Let's see. I mean, the big swings were when it was revals were 10 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
They went to 5 years apart. The changes were not as large, or, you know, so.
Okay. All right. So are we in a consensus agreement on that line, leaving the two salary lines of 1,500 and 400?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
So am I.
Great. I see Debbie turned on her
Back.
camera. Thanks, Deb.
Yes, I have to tell you, I've been meeting with people who are on my tax sale list, and I just got another payment, so that's one less person on the list. I'm down to 3 people now, which is good for the town.
And what's the total outstanding of those 3?
There are 2 large ones. It's the one is a house, and it's probably, if we do a sale, I'm figuring we should pick up maybe 65,000.
What are the taxes owed on them?
I'm working on the 18 and 19 grand list. Those need to be cleaned up. So I just am down to 3 people who are left on the 19 list.
Right. And what are the total taxes on the 3?
As I just said, the sale should net out for the town. Oh gosh, in excess, probably 75,000. That's
Total for 3?
Yes. So that's with interest and fees and all of that good stuff. So.
And you said that's 2019?
My criteria is anything over 2 years. So that's the 18 and the 19 grand list. And it's 3 people.
Okay. Alrighty.
So do you have any additional questions that I can help you with?
Glenn,
Glenn, I apologize. I misspelled your name. I'm a terrible speller. I apologize.
So there was a document where I sort of compiled the relevant positions that had been asking for more than the 4% from the COG survey into one document. Do you want me to screen share that?
Yes.
Let me make it bigger before I lose the bar. Alrighty. So the tax collector is here. So across the top, this is the towns from the COG. Underneath that is their population. And then when you go down to the specific table, you'll see salary, hours per week, and years in the position. Thoughts? So if you take the 42,799 divided by 18 hours, because some of what you see here are hourly rates, like Warren, where's the other one I saw? Goshen. For 18 hours a week, the hourly rate comes out to $45.72 an hour for the current salary, and for what Debbie is asking for at the 53,500, that would be $57.16 for an hourly rate.
So just not to pick this apart, but you're comparing me to the Warren tax collector who's been on the job 6 months?
Nope, I'm just comparing
an hourly rate.
An hourly rate. And part of, I think there's a lot that goes into thinking about all of these, but one of them is everybody's got to be in Connecticut, has to be certified, right? So everybody has to.
It's not a law yet. We're working on it, but it's not a law yet.
Okay, so some of these are certified and some of them are not certified.
I know some tax collectors in Connecticut are still not certified. Yes.
Okay. There questions anybody has for Debbie?
What does, I'm trying to check my math here. I'm looking at Sharon. So 36,608 hours a week, 19.5 years, 21. How much does that position make an hour? Just to ask.
$36.10.
36.10. No, because some of these positions are, there's 6 hours a week, and then there's 37.5. So they vary widely by number of hours per week, first of all. They also vary by tenure, under 6 months, and 30.
They also, not to interrupt you, but they also vary by benefits.
By benefits.
Which is obviously the big nut.
Yep.
So just looking at the populations in comparison to the hours per week, that's sort of where I see a correlation. Like Winchester.
Yeah.
Big town, over 10,000 people. It's a full-time position.
Yeah, that's why specifically I looked at Sharon, just because
it's similar.
Similar salary range, hours a week, and then number of years in the position. So just wanted to ask. And I have another question. It's on the notes, I think, from our previous meeting from, where is it? The February 22nd meeting, which I think pertains to this discussion right now. So near the end of the meeting, Barbara Herbst, currently based on posted office hours, the assessor, 12 hours per week, which is 53.26 per hour. The treasurer is 20 hours per week, and it says 445.34. I think that's 45, I think. And then the tax collector, it says 18 hours at 45.773 per hour. So that's in our previous minutes.
Okay.
So are there other hourly rates we should be looking at in other departments relative to this department? I mean, those are two others besides the tax collector in those previous notes.
Can I just interject as far as an hourly rate?
Sure.
I'm salaried to get a job done. She pulled off the 6, 2 days we're open, 6 hours. I'm here more than that, and I'm working remotely more than that. You can't bundle me up neatly in a per hour rate. You should be comparing the departments as they work in other towns with total benefits, a total salary package.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's one of the pieces of the pie of looking at all of this.
And you have to look at it fairly. If you start picking out towns to compare with my job, I want you to use those same towns when you look at the town clerk and the administrative assistants. Make sure you use the same towns for each position in this building.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Because I think you could start, lots of towns have part-time other jobs that have gone full-time in this building. I think that's a slippery slope you could be getting on.
So just looking at the CCM fiscal indicators they provided, that was the big one. They provide information on tax collection rates, and just looking a little bit at trying to just get a better handle on what do the tax collection rates look across the state. So I took that and added up. So the entire range of tax collection rates is the very highest, obviously, is 100%. And the worst town is collecting at 95%. And that's 2 towns. The lion's share, so out of this report had 170 towns. I'm sorry, it had 169 towns. And so it was everybody. For the tax collection rate of 100% to, I believe it was 98%. That's 150 of the 169 towns. So the lion's share of the towns are collecting at least 98% tax collection rate. And the ones that are collecting at 97, 96, and 95 only equals 20 towns. So I guess the point is that, hang on one sec, Deb.
Okay.
I guess my point is, I didn't know if there was a really wide swing in tax collection rates, or if it was a more narrow range. And so when I dug into it, it's a very narrow range.
You have to look at those numbers very carefully, Jean. Some towns will give the tax collector a number to, this is the number we want. It could be 85% of the budget. but it's the number that the town wants. If they hit that number, it's 100%. In Kent, we don't do it that way. We'll look at the total, take 99 of that, and that's the 99 I have to hit. So it depends. When you start comparing town to town, each town has a little variance, and it's very difficult to do. Those mass statements are very hard to prove.
Well, I'm not trying to prove or not prove anything. I was just, I wanted to know where, you know, what do collection rates look like across the state in a, you know, in a global sense? Are we talking some towns, you know, collect at 70% and it goes all the way up to 100%? It was much narrower than I thought it would be. I have a question. How many tax bills do we send out?
Oof. What is it, Jen? Are we up to 7,000, 6,000 altogether? And then I do monthly billing.
And how much of, so you have software that manages the billing, correct?
We use quality data, which is used in 169 towns. It's probably up now to 160. So we all use the same software.
Yeah, it's about 5,400.
5,400, thank you.
Roughly.
And that's vehicle and property.
Yep, not including supplemental though.
Okay.
Right. And, you know.
It's one of the things I couldn't find on the CT Open Data website. And so the software that you have manages the vendor sends out the bills.
For the July billing, yes, I have the vendor send it. First of all, it's cheaper. They have a mass, you
like
know,
a mailing center.
when you're doing it for 169 towns, 160 out of 169 towns, they get a pretty good deal going.
And they probably have it down to a science.
Oh, they do.
And then for the monthly billing, is that something where you, again, the software prints out the bills, or it's still done through the vendor?
Sure, it prints out the bills. Yeah, we just stuff them. And then people come in and I discuss it, and you know, this gentleman was here because I sent certified letters and he was in response to that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, I imagine that there's reports for all of this. So I just randomly have a couple of questions. When you, so if you do the bills in July, they get sent out. Is there a percentage? You must have some sort of percentage that where you don't have to send out a second bill and then a smaller percentage, second bill, smaller percentage, third bill.
I give that percentage to the Board of Finance every month. Not every month, I skip a few. So if you want percentage of collections, that's reported to the Board of Finance monthly.
Yeah, no, I'm more asking, so the first bill that you send out, of the 5,400 bills, how many then have to go to a second and then a third and then fourth, fifth? Is that something that you have?
I send car bills out. Some people only pay their car bills once every 2 years. So they get 24 mailings from me for every bill they pay.
Wow.
Jean, Donna has her hand up.
Yep. And is it the statute that requires that bills go by paper every single time?
No, I just find it is the most effective.
Okay. And why is it that people sometimes only pay their car taxes once every 2 years?
Registration. You
They
can't
just
register.
do it all at the same. Oh,
Can't register if you have back taxes.
okay.
And we report to the board of, to the DMV on a daily basis.
And is that done manually, or is that done through like an integration with the software talks to the DMV data set or whatever?
We have our own PIN number that we use with the DMV. There's no software. It's person to person, person to department.
So you call them every day?
There's a file. No, it's a program. It's a program we use. What's the word? We join in and talk to them every day, because obviously if you pay your car taxes, you want your name off the list. So that's why we respond to them every day.
So when you say you talk to them every day,
we send in, there's a list of delinquents, and every delinquent has a number. So we take that number and take them off the list. When I say talk to them, it's done through a computer system.
okay. And so, sorry, I'm just understanding all the different processes. So that gets done whenever whenever somebody's in the office? Because you're open for the 18 hours. So when the office isn't open.
Well, I'm here a lot longer than the 18 hours. We will say those are the posted hours. Yes. Mm-hmm. I am here a whole lot more.
Okay. And so the DMV, you have to call the DMV all 5 days a week, or contact them through this portal?
Only when I am here processing bills. And then when those are processed and people have paid, then we go on the DMV website and we take each person off.
Okay.
It's just one of the jobs we do. It's not,
mm-hmm.
It's just part of the job.
Mm-hmm. Glenn, Rufus? Didn't mean to monopolize the time.
I'm good.
Me too.
I don't want to get into a situation where we're doing public comment, because we already had public comment. Donna, was this in relation to, was it relevant to the discussion specifically?
Yep. I was just curious as to the salary information that you showed up on the screen, if that was from COG, and how old is that information? What's the date on that?
It's the their most recent survey.
So that's for the year as of the end of year 2022?
I got it from them in December.
So then that's the documentation from the end of 2021 then?
No, it would either be fiscal year 22. Yeah, it would be fiscal 22, I believe. I'd have to double check, but it's the most recent from COG that they had.
Okay, just because previously, every time I looked at any of that, it was always at least a year to 18 months old. So I was just trying to verify.
I think it's older than that because a lot of the footnotes are looking at things like pension benefits reported as of June 30th, 2020, et cetera. So I think they're older.
That's probably the CCM, the big CCM fiscal indicators one that I sent.
Oh, maybe that was where I saw that.
Yeah.
Because those are all over the place. But there's nothing on this sheet that indicates anything.
I can get the date, but it's the most recent one from them. How do we want to proceed?
Well, I've got information. I'm not ready to make anything until we hear from all of the people that had different salary requests.
And just to be clear, so the request for 53,500, that would, based on posted hours, and there could be other hours involved, that would be $57 an hour. Is that what I heard?
57.16 based on the 18 hours a week.
57.16. And currently, with the current salary here, it is, as stated here in the notes, it is 45.73 currently. Yep. Okay. Thanks.
So we are right now we're at 90 minutes. I think we've been through a fair amount. We do also have to discuss the schedule. So I'd like to discuss the schedule and then wrap for today so that we can get the rest of this, the schedule put to bed, warned, and create sort of a time slots for everybody. So the plan is to do meetings next Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 4. To get everybody else having conversation. And then on March 13th, because Glenn, you're out of the country on the 15th, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So to have a quick meeting on the 13th. So that is Monday.
Yeah, and whenever you two want that, I'm free almost all day.
Okay, so let's first look at the Tuesday, Thursday. We're good for the 2 to 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Tuesday the 7th and Thursday the 9th, correct?
Yeah. That's about all I have on Thursday.
Good.
And then the 13th.
I could do the morning, I could do lunchtime, whatever's easier. Just 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe longer.
We'll slot a little bit longer, but I'm really hoping it's just going to be a formality wrap up. So we want to say 11.
I could do 11.
Let's
do 11.
Whatever. Okay, so we'll plan for 11. Alrighty. Apple says it's 4:32. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Fantastic. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. I think we made some good progress. Everybody have a good evening.
You too.